Welcome. We are happy that you are taking time to learn more about educating students with disabilities in a remote learning environment. This presentation is appropriate for all educators, including general education teachers that may have students with an IEP or 504 plan in their classroom, as well as special educators that provide specially designed instruction in various formats. Providing support to students in a remote learning environment requires the attention of all involved in the planning and execution of a student's academics. It is important to remember that in a traditional brick and mortar academic setting, a student may have access to various teachers throughout the day following a set schedule. In a remote learning environment, these professionals still interact with each student. However, this may look a bit different. While remote learning may pose some challenges, it is exciting to note that it also provides flexibility and increased opportunity for individualized and small group instruction directly from teachers and service providers. Today, we will identify your role from the classroom and assist you in understanding your role and purpose in the student's remote academic instruction. It is also important to note that all students require various levels of individual supports as learners, and while these strategies are effective for special education students, they may also benefit students needing additional support in a new remote learning environment. Remote learning comes with a variety of tasks for educators. For example, communicating a weekly overview of lessons, recording lessons, keeping office hours, and monitoring student progress in an unfamiliar environment. Take a moment to review this slide. As a special educator, it is important to note that your role focuses on the additional and supplemental tools and strategies that you will provide aligned to your students' general education experience. This support should occur during regularly scheduled check-in meetings and be targeted at both supporting IEP goals as well as progress in the general education curriculum. If you are a duly certified course instructor, or you provide instruction in a separate class setting in the brick and mortar school, you will continue to fulfill both general education teacher role and ESE teacher role in a remote learning environment. Support facilitators, co-teachers, push-in and pull-out resource teachers will continue to rely on heavy collaboration with the general education teacher to provide seamless support. Because this level of communication can become overwhelming to students in a remote world, IEP teams, including parents, should have ongoing conversations and make appropriate adjustments to how often students need connection to their ESC provider. Successfully supporting special education students in a remote learning environment involves continuous communication between the student's educational team, which includes general education teachers, special education teachers, and at times, additional service providers. Communication between a student's team of instructors will ensure the core instruction the student is receiving is appropriately supported by the special education teacher. The special education teacher can provide appropriate scaffolded materials so the student is able to meet the intended standard requested. While both teachers are required to provide assistance and differentiation to support the student, the special educator's role will be to provide specialized instruction on strategies that will benefit the student's learning. We will share examples of this later. An important note is that teachers are not able to do this work alone. Families are one of the greatest assets to an IEP team. It is important and vital to the success of our students to carry on continuous, two-way communication with our families about the successes of their student. Regardless of the age of the student, We must ensure that we have regular conversations with both the student and parent regarding the instructional support strategies we are providing and short-term goals, and build a healthy remote rapport. Remote learning comes with a set of challenges that may increase student stressors at home. It is important to still maintain social skills instruction with our students that require this as a part of their IEP or behavior intervention plan. Students requiring social, emotional, and behavioral support will still continue to receive this support in a remote learning environment. Behavior specialists are responsible for providing support to students with a behavior intervention plan and those that receive social skills instruction as a direct service on their IEP. Students will receive this support in the same format as core instruction, with access to fluid lessons, resources, and communication to support their needs in a remote learning environment. Students will have opportunities to engage in social skills instruction in an individual or small group manner. If you have students participating in these groups with a behavior specialist, social worker, or school psychologist, you will receive ongoing communication from those professionals to support your work. If you are struggling with attendance, motivation, or know a family that is asking these questions, it will be important for you to follow up with your site behavior specialist. In a remote learning environment, special education service providers should provide strategies that are directly related to the content delivered in the general education classroom to support student progress and support students' ability to access their remote learning. Specially designed instruction is unique to each student and focuses on how the teacher adapts the content, methods of teaching or delivery, and addresses the unique needs of a student with a disability to allow them to access grade level standards, and in this case, access remote learning. This instruction is based on the needs, goals, and services identified in a student's IEP. Take a moment to review a few strategies. This instruction should be done explicitly through virtual face-to-face platforms such as Zoom, Google Hangouts, Google Voice or Phone, or another similar platform during regularly scheduled meeting times individually or in small groups. This example of email communication is here to highlight the differences in general education teacher communication and special education teacher communication. These examples were created for demonstration purposes only. For more details about email communication, please review the ICANN. One of the largest differences to highlight is the individualized focus on the student and student instruction. Here, you can see the teacher focused on instructional strategies to support the learner in reading the various documents requested from the general education teacher. The ESE teacher, in collaboration with the general education teacher, provided additional supports for task organization and vocabulary to support the learner. There is also a definitive meeting for the two to connect. This may occur one-on-one or in small group. All teachers will continue to be responsible for providing accommodations from a student's 504 plan or IEP. Here are some accommodations that might be provided to a student with a disability. Accommodations are different than specially designed instruction. Accommodations should be provided as the IEP or 504 indicates by any teacher that works with a particular student, not just a special education instructor. As provided in the ICANN, Your school counselor or ESE liaison can assist you with understanding and providing individualized accommodations in accordance with the student's 504 plan or IEP. It is important to understand that all teachers and students have the opportunity to participate remotely in education. While these strategies and accommodations support students that participate in general education standards, as well as access points instruction, we will continue to take some time to provide additional resources later in this video for access teachers. As a reminder, these are just examples of accommodations that may be on a 504 plan or an IEP. Please review the individual student 504 plan or IEP to determine what accommodations each individual student requires. All students that require counseling as a related service, or CARS, as outlined in their 504 plan or IEP, will continue to receive that service. The service delivery modality might look different, but the student support staff provider will remain consistent. All of our counselors, social workers, and psychologists will have a Zoom account. This will enable them to work with students using a virtual platform. For students that do not have a computer or internet access, the staff member will connect with them via telephone. Our mental health therapists from First Step and the Florida Center will continue to provide therapeutic services to all assigned students. Those services will be provided through a secure, HIPAA-compliant platform. The therapist will be working directly with families to schedule those services. Students participating in Access Points curriculum have needs that may require the use of unique strategies, tools, and accommodations. There are various platforms and assistive technology available based on student needs. Our district will be providing additional trainings specific to the students needing these types of supports. During the first week, it is imperative to engage with your families and other professionals to determine accessibility needs of your students and understand the most appropriate methods of instruction. Each school-based liaison will also be able to connect resources, supports, and local assistive technology professionals that will work together to assist in meeting the specific needs of each learner. Please remember that this is new to all of us, and we will work together to do what is best for each of our students. The ESE liaison is the school-based coordinator to collaborate with all providers to ensure a student is making progress in all areas. It is important to be aware that there may be additional members of a student's team outside of classroom teachers. While these services will continue to be provided, the format may be different. If you are concerned about a student's progress or a parent voices a concern to you, please connect with your school's ESE liaison to locate additional supports or providers for the student. The school counselor will continue to coordinate all sharing and implementation of students with a 504 plan. The school counselor will work in continuous collaboration with other professionals and classroom teachers. Please be aware that you may receive meeting invites from these professionals as they will continue during remote learning. We all know that all learning is social-emotional learning. It is important to remember to foster the development of social skills every day, even as we move to a remote learning environment. The most important skills to enhance in a remote learning environment include focus on mental clarity, motivation, communication, team building, lateral thinking, independent thinking skills, and patience. All staff members have access to a number of free remote learning platforms like Zoom, Skype, Google Voice, Google Hangouts, and Doxy.me. These platforms allow for the continuation of staff and student connection. It is important to maintain connection with students during times of uncertainty, as it often leads to additional stress, worry, and anxiety that can be curbed by positive relationships. The crisis text line will continue to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to anyone who wants to text for support. Text lines can be accessed by texting HERE, the number 4, and the letter U to 741-741. We can also encourage our families to utilize free apps like Calm, Smiling Mind, and SuperBetter, to name a few. In the remote learning environment, it is imperative that all team members monitor the individual progress of students. It is important to ensure that student and parent are aware of all available course supports and resources and how to access these supports and resources. All educators will be required to maintain an ongoing communication form indicating to whom and what information was delivered during each communication with a family. When communicating with parents, ask pointed questions and help create methods that families can support the learning at home. If any time there are missed deadlines or assignments not meeting the level of expected standard, this information should be communicated with appropriate professionals, including special educators, so that the student supports can be increased. In a remote environment, as we begin to understand our own needs and the needs of our students, instruct with flexibility and compassion in working with students that need additional supports and opportunities to demonstrate success. Thank you for taking time to learn more about supporting special education students in a remote learning setting. We know this is new territory for many educators, but we are confident in our ability to adapt and adjust our roles and responsibilities to positively impact students. Please remember to review additional resources linked in the I Can and at the Fiddler's website.